Number 10 is probably the hardest one to decide, actually. I think because, I've tried out some devices, and I've tried out quite a few actually over my time. It's very difficult to pick which one is number 10, and I've only put devices that I've actually tried in here. So number 10 for me currently is this one. This is the Bigme InkNote. I've got the Bigme InkNote Color Lite. And, 10 is still a good position, I think. There are other things that could have occupied this one in my kind of repertoire. There's no place, for instance, for the Lenovo tablet in here because, well, that's well documented that it's just not something that I would recommend at all. But there's nothing massively wrong with this device. There isn't much that's actually wrong with it. It does have a place in some workflows. The advantages over Boox, though, are limited. Maybe the fact that it's got double cameras might suit you. But Bigme are still one to watch, though. I would stress that. It's very interesting that they seem to have quite a lot of power in the industry. They seem to be developing things quite quickly, but I think their software is just kind of holding them back, really. And it's just not as polished, even as Boox is. And Boox I wouldn't describe as being an incredibly polished software experience. But they've got some things really right here. They've got good tech. They've got good specs on here. They've got the Kaleido free screen. There's not a lot to really shy away from. There are some good things about it. They've tried to go for this kind of AI color experience, and saying, like everyone is at the minute, we've got AI built in, meaning that we've got some kind of chat GTP integrations, or GPT, I should say, integrations. And, well, I'm a little bit skeptical. You could write your own essays and cheat on this if you wanted to. But as I say, they want to watch them, and perhaps we'll see them come out with like a more mature design. This is still imitating another device in this list's kind of design at the minute. Perhaps we'll see better software design from them. And they have responded to some of the criticisms, and they have improved things as they've been going on. So it's not a kind of standstill, and there are updates. I've just updated this, and there's bug fixes and things like that. What's really interesting for me, what I hope they're going to bring soon, is the PC, the e-ink PC B251, which should have started shipping by now. Actually, it was due to start shipping December 23 or January 24. And I haven't heard anything haven't seen any of them arriving for anyone talking about them. We're still looking at the kind of mocked up images on the screen rather than real videos of the real color e-ink in action. So I don't know about that e-ink PC. I'm really hopeful. The other thing to say about Bigme is they're generally a little bit cheaper than the other devices that are out there in a similar kind of specification. So the next one in at number 9 is the Kobo Elipsa 2E. I think this is really good, actually. If you're looking for a device which is a read first and make notes second, then this is actually a good option. If you're someone who's already in the Kobo ecosystem, at least you don't have to leave it to get a good e-ink tablet now. And I think that there's something to be said for that. It's a good, solid device. It's, slightly older screen when we compare it to like the Kindle Scribe, for instance, but it's a good reader. And I really enjoyed having it as my planner because I could just dive into books all of the time. But the note-taking does leave a little to be desired. You've just maybe seen me reach for the pen because I had to make sure the pen was charged. There's a pen that needs charged. It isn't bad, but if I draw some like slow lines, can you see there's quite a bit of jitter in there? And it just doesn't feel as good. It does have a button and it does have an eraser. So it's got, it's got some really good things about it. It just doesn't have that kind of same kind of feel. It still has a place in my thinking though, purely because it is such a pleasant place to read. And having something with you which focuses on reading with you all the time, and you can also keep your professional notes on. I think that's a good thing about it. It encourages that habit of reading, and I'm really trying to get into that habit of reading in 2024. That's my kind of motto at the minute, is read more in 2024, 104 in 2024. And yeah, you let me know if there's any recommendations for me to read. But some of the devices that I'm going to come on later are also very good companions for reading. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend it over those just for reading. It's a good place to read though. If only they'd chosen the Wacom stylus tech and improved that side of their software, improved that writing side. They do have the advanced notebook side, which is very good. But at the minute, it's a really nicely designed tablet that could have been higher in this list. Probably if it had a Wacom pen, it could have been higher up in this list. So I'm not sure exactly where, but it could have been. So this is in at number 8. The Remarkable 2 is, it's holding its own, and they're showing no signs of slowing down in actually marketing this thing. You know, having, as they have done, paid some very big YouTubers, Justine and Lou from Unbox Therapy, to go ahead and unbox this thing and say how good it is. You know, but it does, in reality, I'm afraid it does kind of lag a little bit now. They brought a few things. For instance, they brought tick boxes. There they are. Okay, now the tick boxes are literally just that. You can just tick it and it crosses out the text that comes after it. It is no more than that. And that's a little bit like, you know, that's not great, is it really? If that was coupled with like some way to get to like a globally accessible task list, if there's a way in here, just button there to show me all of my tasks that are open on the whole device, or all my tasks in a certain folder, that would have been useful. That would have been a very logical next step, but they haven't done that. They've just gone ahead and, you know, done what they've done there. They've added tick boxes. Uninspiring, really. They need to go faster with that. Spend a little bit less money maybe on your marketing and more on developing as well. And the thing is that actually, if you think about the way Supernote develops, their marketing is their development and their development is their marketing. So they're constantly asking, what do people want of their Supernote device? What do people want to have in a Supernote? And that is marketing. So they've got people constantly on Reddit. That's marketing. And actually, maybe they're not selling the volume that Remarkable are, but Remarkable actually would do it good to take a little bit of a leaf out of Supernote's book there. One thing that I did notice as well on this recently, because it's aging, I think, you know, I have started to see a few like crashes. There was a time when I just had trouble opening this one notepad, and it's doing something for me. It's currently doing a job for me, this device. It currently is my desk jotter. So literally all I have on here, I just have to-do lists. I just have, today I've got to film this, edit this, and I just do that. And I don't even use a tick box. What I do with it, once I've done the thing, I just rub it out. So literally this is just like a little scratch pad. It might as well be a little LCD tablet for £10, you know, that kind of toy things. They haven't got the same kind of loyal and keen like Supernote fans. Although people like their Remarkables, they aren't singing about it everywhere. You don't often read, love it, this is why I love it. What you read is like, it's doing a job for me. And, you know, people are a bit more passive. I see people who use them. I also know people who bought them and thought they'd love it and then kind of left them and not really loved it. So what are your opinions on the Remarkable versus the Supernote? I think would be very interesting to hear in the chat as well. They need those features. They need calendaring. They need better task list integration. They need collaboration features. They're talking about using Remarkable and trying to convince companies to buy stacks of Remarkables for their teams. Well, very good. But, you know, really, there isn't a way to have multiple accounts collaborating on the same things. It isn't as integrated as you can do with some of the other e-ink tablets that are out there. So I think they need to kind of keep up. They don't really know, are they really a hardware company? Are they a software company? You know, they're selling software as a service. They're adding a few features here and there that everyone else has got and aren't very inspiring. You know, they might say, well, hang on, we're not any of those. We're not a hardware company. We're not a software company. We're not a software as a service company. We're not a cloud service. We are a focus company. And maybe they're selling this, a better you at work company. We're selling what you think you want to be like at work. We're selling an image of you walking into that meeting, all prepared with your handwritten notes, and everyone's like, oh, they've got the Remarkable, aren't they that type of person? The truth is, they're none of those things. They're not even a digital paper company, which they might say. The amount of times it says paper like on their marketing is a bit ridiculous. But what they are is a very good marketing company. So that's Remarkable too. They're at number 8. It is still a good device. If you've got one, if you're going for one, then, you know, it's great. It does what it says it does. It's just there are better alternatives now. So number 7 now. The A5X2. I mean, it is a great thing. The A5X is, I'm putting this at number 7, the A5X. I'm expecting to have to make another top 10 video after the A5X2 is out, and I bet it will go in a little bit higher. Because the A5X, I mean, it will just be interesting to really see where the A5X2 and so this is in their roadmap. The A5X2 is coming, and the A5 Slim is coming. That probably, I reckon that will be 2025 now. I think they've said they're aiming for it in this year, but I don't think that'll happen. The A5X2 will be spring. My bet is March. And then the A4X to, I think that'll be autumn. I think that will be a November, December kind of release again. Not on purpose, but I think that's their pace where they're developing and trying to get things right before they put it out. So that's what I would kind of expect. It'll be really interesting to see where they go. So for now, this is a kind of placeholder for that, because I don't think you can actually buy the A5X anymore unless you buy it kind of secondhand, or rather as an open box. There's still open box versions of it kicking about. So do find those out. New software features like Atelier are coming, although I haven't got it quite yet. On this update, it's in beta currently for the A5X, so it's still there. And the new one will have the Feel Right 2 screen. Let's get excited about that generation. The Slim seems like an attractive. They've been banding that title around for some time. That's their kind of project name. It's always been. And I think it's the kind of, again, to go back to Remarkable, one thing that Remarkable say all the time is they say, well, it's the world's finished tablet, of course, world's finished tablet, and the word paper used on every single line. That's how to sell devices. It's a good device. Number 6 now is the Tab Mini C. And from here on up, these are devices that I definitely recommend. And this is a great device because it does it all, and it's also so small. It's a very balanced device, and I just think it is a great reader as well as being a great e-ink tablet. It's one, my wife gotten really well with it for being her kind of Kindle alternative, and having that notepad there on the side was really, really useful as well. So it's kind of got the power of one of the bigger ones, not quite as powerful a processor and as much RAM as the bigger ones, but it's kind of it does all the same sort of things, all the same kind of apps. I'm just going to turn the front light up a little bit just to give you that little bit, but you can see there the darkness of the screen immediately will be obvious to you straight there. Now, I would really, really love this, and I do like it, don't get me wrong, but it would be in my bag all the time if I was a comic reader. I think it's just got that exact right size for a kind of small comic, and the super refresh does mean that it goes the page turn will be quite snappy, and you won't get too much ghosting then when you do turn the page. I'll just see if I've got something quickly to access to show that off, but this is the right size for a comic. So into Kindle, Batman, that's just a sample, but it's a good enough sample to have a quick look at what I mean there. It would be a really, really good comic reader. If you're someone who reads graphic novels or comics, the Boox Super Refresh just means that your page turns are going to be that little bit less jarring. You see, it does look good. It's a really, really dark one, and this is a really challenging one for it because the color e-ink or any e-ink works really badly when it's got light on dark. Dark on light always looks quite good, but light on dark tends to lead to more ghosting. So you see it's really well controlled. What mode am I in here? Balanced. And really balanced is the mode to live in, really. It is the one to go for. You see that is very smooth, very enjoyable reading experience. I'm sure if you're a comic person, give me a thumbs up, let me know. And if you own a Tab Mini C and you use it for comics, certainly do let me know that. Imagine if that was having to do full refreshes every single page turn to look really good. That would be quite jarring, wouldn't it? But actually, that smooth kind of skip between frames is pretty nice. Let me just clarify something about the BSR, the Boox Super Refresh technology that's allowing it to do that so fast. It is really good for managing the ghosting with the e-ink capsules, right? It's really good at stopping ghosting in e-ink. Now, e-ink is made of these little pockets with pigments in them, and what it does is it rises the black to the surface when it wants to be dark and pushes the black from the surface when it wants to be white. The Boox Super Refresh is very good at bringing black areas back to pure white. So we can clear out white areas of the screen without having to do that full refresh so often. And I really notice it when I go browsing in Chrome. If I move a piece, see that ghosting just clear from there. You can have see this white area just clearing up on there. Now that is because that is what the Boox Super Refresh is very good at doing. It is not so good at clearing out the color space. Now, unfortunately, the color is a different type of technology. It's kind of like a color matrix, a lot of people are calling it. It's a bit like a sort of reflective LCD sort of area of the screen. That's a different type of technology. And for some reason, when you've had very white things in front, very like white text in front of where a color now is, you often see ghosting from that whiter stuff or the lighter stuff in that color area. So when you've got large areas of color, you sometimes see a bit of ghosting. And I've seen a few comments saying, they're told it was excellent ghosting performance. And actually now I see lots and lots and lots of ghosting. So you see these faint white lines a lot of times on the top of kind of color areas. That's not really what we're talking about. We're talking about clearing out that white space so you get back that extra nice contrast there. If you just see what I mean just in there. Now, if you don't have the BSR technology, it doesn't do that basically. There isn't anyone that's doing that kind of equivalent. Bigme have a similar thing, but it isn't as good as this. Books are the best at getting the best look out of e-ink, full stop. And if that color thing that I've just described with the white lines puts you off, then you don't want e-ink at the minute, okay? Because that's as good as it gets. And I'm hopeful one day in the not too distant future that we'll have a device which will have as good a battery life as e-ink can, and that amazing super refresh technology. The Kindle Scribe, I think we're at number 5 now. Still in the Western market, the only place you can get the 300 DPI. I think this is a Carter 1250 screen, but somebody correct me on that. You can see it's rapid, you can see it's high contrast, you can see it looks really, really good in terms of, it's less pixelated. If I do that later on with a 227 pixel print screen, you will see the difference, but you only really see the difference straight there. And this is the one at this point, this is the one I recommend if you just want to get started, because the price point of this with that amazing screen, and actually the software is going in the right direction. There is still improvements being made to the software. They've done things like they've improved the browser. Finally, the web browser, I'm happy to report, is now actually usable. It's not something you'd want to log in, and don't expect things like plugins or anything like that. It's much more usable. When I first started with this browser, it was just absolutely no chance, nothing to see here. You couldn't use it at all, not even really just to do a quick bit of reference on Wikipedia or anything like that. But now it works just fine. And you can, browse to your heart's content on that. Is nowhere near the performance of what I've just shown you, though, of course, on Boox. The browser is not, of course, a main use of it, but if you're going to put a browser on there, it should at least work, and now it does at least. In any case, a lot of us actually do our reading on the web. So if you're somebody who maybe reads a website for your news rather than gets a particular document, a particular thing, particular book or periodical as an ebook, then you'll quite like this, because at least you can, on this same device, decide to browse the news here. Now, it does remain to see what the Kindle team are going to do with the Scribe. They've removed this kind of secret web link that we all kind of found, where we found a way to access your notebooks online, and for some reason now you can't go there anymore. There's nothing there. It was a place where you could get all of your notebooks were stored online, and it was kind of reassuring that they're all there in the cloud somewhere, but now you can't go there anymore. And I'm hoping that's because they're ready to develop that into an actually really usable cloud platform, maybe somewhere where you're actually able to do more with your books, more with your notebooks, than just look at an image of it, because that's all you could do. You couldn't even save the image. You had to screenshot the image if you wanted to get it out of the platform. Hopefully they're going to make something that's actually somewhere you can interact with your handwritten notes, maybe export it as a PDF directly on the web platform, maybe add to notes, maybe type, copy things out. And they also have something that nobody else has got at this point, which is in the share button, you can share the entire note. And then you get the option to convert to text and email. And one of the options in there is actually, and the conversion to text is just as accurate as anything else. When you get the share, you can share it as a searchable PDF. So you can attach the notebook as a searchable PDF. And that means that then when you get that PDF on your computer, although it looks like the handwritten notes, you can actually highlight the text and you can actually copy that. And those words, the words that it has converted, which aren't always the most accurate, the words that it's converted are copied by a Control-C and copy and paste out into whatever you need. And you can use Control-F, you can find within the PDF as well, and it'll highlight them. So it'll treat the actual marks, the actual handwriting, like it's real text. I mean, that's a really cool thing. And it could be a really powerful thing for you. It could be the thing that actually makes you think, great, that's what I want. I know I want to read Kindle books, and I know I need a notebook next to it. And I know then I need that notebook to be on my computer. I can just export it once I've done, and I can copy those texts and use it in places. That might be a use case. That's amazing. And it's a feature that none of the other tablets have at all. I'm really impressed with that. So it is a recommend. It's a recommend if you want to spend less. It's a recommend if you just if you're kind of umming and erring and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, I don't really want to spend the £500 that some of the bigger ones, I think the better ones are asking for, but this is a good like entry point. You can get a refurbished ones which would come through and it'll look just as good as new. It'd be brilliant to do it. Just pull the trigger, enjoy ink for a bit, get really into this, enjoy reading on it, enjoy the feel of the Wacom EMR stylus, enjoy the ultra fast, ultra low latency. It's one of the top ones for that. And yeah, get into using an e-ink tablet. Great tablet for the price. So we're on to number 4 now. We really are up there with the best of them now. So number 4, what's it going to be? Well, something I'm making a lot of content, a lot more comments on this coming. This is objectively weaker, but you know, this is a subjectively right in this spot here. This is, it's the A6X2. This is the Nomad. It's just a great little device, isn't it? And it's a great little direction it's going, and it's obligatory to show everyone what it really looks like. This is the Crystal edition, and it doesn't kind of mix and match the backs with the other Nomad, which I wish they had done that, to be honest, but there we are. It's the little things. It's the 2-finger page swipe. It's the gesture to do erase or the gesture to do a select. It's the little things that they've thought about that allows you to do that. It's the being able to make the table of contents where you can skip backwards and forwards to make links. Although I found that you can't actually link to a image. You can't link to SPD, that one of the files that is the Atelier files. You can only really access the Atelier files by going into the Atelier files. And I've just made this video on how I'm making these drawings on here, and it's a really good experience. You know, so what you can do is you start with your harder pencils, and then you can add in your tonal layers with a nice textured spray can they've given you, and then you can add in some darker lines and really start to flesh out your drawing, and then you can add in even more tone if you wish, deeper tones, and then you can finally put a bit of pen on top. And you know, I think that's great. There's such a nice thing to draw on, and yeah, the new screen feel is really, really good. It's just getting about the device, which is great. The pen response is excellent. It will be one of the better ones. I just feel, you know, the funny thing is my writing is neater on here. Swipe up just to clear out the ghosting there. It's always neater on here than anything else, just because it's a pleasure to write on. It's like when you, I don't know that you've had much experience of pens because we're such a digital age now, but that's a ridiculous thing to say. But when you pull out a nice fountain pen, it makes you want to write neater, and that's what this device does. So many great things about this device. And the thing about this is it just makes me want to travel. It just makes me want to simplify my digital life. It's almost a shame because as somebody commented on one of my videos for this device, it's almost a shame that I am a reviewer of these things, because I'm not getting to live the digital minimalist lifestyle that this is engineered for. I'm not complaining. I love reviewing the e-ink tablets, and it's kind of like, you know, this should just be your one device that you've made this amazing contents page for. And, you know, I am going to commit to it at some point. I'm reviewing something else as my daily driver at the minute, and I will carry this around. It will be my one thing for a while. But yeah, it should just be your one thing. Totally. So now we're up to number 3. Zoom out. This is the Tab X. It's an absolute mammoth, and I still think maybe this is your choice for typing. I know this is the choice for your academic PDFs. I know this is the choice if you want to use side by side. You know, I was really thinking, I was doing a bit of typing on my mechanical keyboard, linked to the Note F3C just last night. But actually, this could be a really nice place to type. I can imagine having that sat on a coffee table. You can have it on auto rotate. I just don't always do that with my tablets. Having, you know, writing here, large size like this, I can imagine sitting here and typing here, you know, being maybe quite far away from it. Nice big text, very comfortable just to sit and do a piece of writing. It's really good, and, you know, it could be a really great place for getting your words out. And also, it is the best for the split screen, because if you want to do something, so I've got a PDF there, and I can have a notepad here, or I can have any other app here. I could have into my school OneDrive, you know, there's loads of things I could do with this. Having this large space is great. And I know some people are thinking the color this size might come soon. Might not. Still think this deserves 3rd place here in the top 10 because it is still so great. It doesn't feel as heavy as it is, but yeah, it's not the finished device. It's not the device it could have been at this point from Boox, really. I think if they'd have spent a bit more time and didn't just rush this one out because they needed a large tablet in their lineup, and the Lamy 2 was coming to the end of its run. I think maybe they could have done it even better. So here we are then. We're at number 1 and 2. I wonder if you've got ideas of what are going to be at number 1 and 2. So in at number 2, I'm putting the Tab Ultra C Pro in at number 2. I feel bad about it. Is it just number 2 at the minute? Is it just, the Note Air 3C is just that good? It is fabulous, but at the minute I'm going back to, and I'm currently using the Note Air 3C at work, largely because it's the most popular device. It's the one that everyone is kind of gravitating to, and therefore, it's the best. The Note Air 3C is a better device than this. This might well be my favorite. I think this is the form factor that will eventually take over. But at the minute, I think that the Note Air 3C is the device to recommend over this device. It's close to the top. It really is the close to the top. I think this is just the slickest experience of being. Objectively, it's more powerful. It's got more RAM. It's got a better processor. It's the same screen, of course. It's got this keyboard case. But there's just something about the Note Air 3C which is just very, very right. The Tab Ultra C Pro is very, very right as well, and definitely deserves its position here as the number 2. But it's a tough one. It's been a really tough call for me. I've been thinking about it quite a lot. And I still really love using the old Tab Ultra C. I'm still using that quite a lot, actually. This is just a great form factor. And really, I do like this as a place for managing my writing. So that's an interesting point. I won't spend too much more time on it. Again, I've got lots of content on this if you want. And I'm allowed to change my mind, aren't I? Okay, I argued for this as being the best. I do think it is great. I think as well, it's heavy. It's a kilogram pretty much. The Note Air 3C here at number 1 is that bit lighter. It is that bit thinner, and it goes in and out of your bag so much more easily. It is more like what you expect to use as a kind of professional. Lives next to your keyboard. It can be your notes. You've made these notebooks, and then you can just stand it up next to your keyboard while you type out or you work on your professional things like so. Yeah, it is just a more mature device. You think about which device will be here the longest, which device will have the most staying power. This one will be, and it's really, really good. Interesting. And I'm calling this again. I'm thinking to myself, well, now we've got the Note Air 3 as well, and the black and white version. So I'm thinking really, in number 2, we've got the Tab Ultra series, and at number 1, let's call it the Note 3 series, because I do think that there are benefits to the black and white one, and I'm going to bring that in now. Should we just quickly run through from the top? Number 3 was the Tab X. Number 4 was the A6X2. Number 5 was the Kindle Scribe, affectionately known as the Skindle. Let me know if you think. Let me know if you think I've got it totally wrong. Number 6 was the Tab Mini C, excellent device. And these 6 upwards, the ones I currently absolutely recommend, because 7, I wouldn't necessarily recommend you go out and buy an A5X right now. Probably wait for the A5X2, which will almost certainly go in higher up this list. The Remarkable 2, good device, but I reckon there's now better out there. And the Kobo Elipsa 2E, good for reading on. And finally, the Bigme ink. Let me know what you think.